Last 4 years in Hollywood working on the beginnings of 3Ds in the movies. And I'm here very pleased to be with a company that I'm working with called VPipe. And what they do is they create social video conversations on Facebook. And I was attracted to them not only because the founders were filmmakers, because they were doing something different. They were taking this conversation that we're having together here and trying to move it online in a way, and they've taken advantage of all the movements of technology to make this possible, and we'll go through that. But before I start, I'd like to know, is anyone here from the streaming world at all, come from the streaming media businesses at all? Good, because I'm glad that that group is small, because you're probably not going to like what I'm going to say, and I'd like to have the odds and numbers on my side. Anyone here who's either a video blogger or someone who actually has a brand on Facebook or is an interactive agency that's working with brands to help those brands talk to their fans? You're the ones that I'm going to be speaking to, because I think what this company does and what VPipe does is they allow a conversation for the first time to actually happen between brands and their fans in a way that Facebook, for all the things that it does well, doesn't allow to happen. In order to get started, though, for those of us who have been in the video business for a very long time, the saying has always been, it's really, really hard to make video easy. And there's been more false starts, and I've been involved in some of them to take video out to the masses, and there's been issues of bandwidth, there's been issues of storage, there's been issues of making it easy, and it's only recently, I would say, in the last 3 or 4 years, where it actually is easy. And when I was getting ready for this presentation, I was surprised by the numbers, because these numbers are telling me not that it's starting, but that it's already here. If you look at the chart on the left, you'll see that 62% of all the people who moved the internet last year actually used video, downloaded it, uploaded, used it in some way, and this is actually 20% more than the people that actually use social media. So it means that whether we are aware of it or not, using video as a communication medium has become ubiquitous. We're doing it every day. And it's interesting because it's not age specific. I felt fairly certain when I started looking into this that younger generations who grew up with the internet would be there. It's not true. You can see that the curve is much steeper in adoption for the younger generations, but that everyone, basically, even people older, over 60 and more, are actually using it all the time. And a real astounding fact is that 1 in 4 Americans, that's not 1 in 4 Americans on the internet, but 1 in 4 Americans actually watched a television program on a PC last year, which to me is a real step forward into the future and showing that everyone is using video. And even more astounding is that the numbers that they're throwing around is that 19%, almost 20% of every person on the internet, so 20% of the people in this room, actually went to some kind of video sharing site today, YouTube, whatever it is. So video as a data type is being used everywhere, but it's not being used socially in a very interesting way yet today. And in order to understand what's happening with video, it's important, I think, to take a look and make some buckets of how you want to look at the ecosystem. In early technologies, the differences between various products is kind of squishy, but it's important to break them into categories so we can understand what they're doing. And this will also let me kind of show you better what VPipe and what they're doing with video from a conversational perspective. And my 3 big buckets of how video is working are YouTube from video sharing, the streaming networks, Livestream and Ustream and Justin, and we'll talk about each of these individually, and what VPipe and a bunch of really innovative new companies are calling social video, which is not watching video, but actually using video as a way to communicate between people or between fans and brands. The first one is YouTube, and they say, and I don't know if the number is correct, that actually 42% of the people that are on the internet have actually uploaded something. That sounds high, but to prove that I'm one of them, that really cute kid on the left there, that's me and my mom and my brothers, and it is something that we all use on a daily basis, and it's like super fun and it's super easy, and we can VJ and we share. But the thing about it is that it's not really social. It's actually just a sharing technology, and that's really different. In other words, you can put it up there and you can send it to somebody, and you can use a Facebook wall type of comment and say, cool, looks good, nice shirt, all the rest of it. But it's not something that you can actually share and interact with someone. It also is very restrictive for brands on Facebook to use YouTube, because it's not live. The comments, no matter how simple, are not real time. And also the format is very restricted in size. So it's more like using an ad and something that you watch. And we all know that within Facebook and in the social media networks, pushing advertising out to people is kind of counterintuitive to why people are going there. They're not going to have things pushed at them. They're going there to choose things. The streaming networks, which I'm really thankful for because they actually are less about sharing, but they're more about moving analog TV into the digital realm. And for me personally, the reason why I love these guys so much is one is that bands that I love, like Foo Fighters, can now be seen on Facebook, on my laptop, at Starbucks, or if I want to go to Justin TV, I can see bootleg versions of Survivor, which I'm a big fan, and it lets me see video wherever I want to. But this is less about sharing, and it's less about social, and it's more about just taking all the analog stuff and moving the delivery system onto the computer as well. So I kind of call this the I like to watch method. You know, it's like the virtual couch, the virtual theater, really, really useful, really, really great stuff for all of us to have, but I don't think it's really social. And I actually think that social TV is kind of like this. It's like sitting in front of your television and tweeting to a friend about something that you saw that's fun, but it's not communication. It's commenting on something. It's more about where you do it and how you get it than what you're doing with it. vPipe, which is a video pipe, is a whole diversion forward, and it actually breaks things down in two ways that are kind of important, and for you to think about whether or not it's valuable to you. One way is that it's not about viewing, it's about viewing, it's about using. So it's just about trying to get the metaphor online in an easy and natural way of actually talking to people or talking to groups of people and actually making this a two-way conversation where your comments to me are as important as the things that I'm saying. And think about blogs that you go to and the comment streams that are underneath it. The comments are usually as important to you as the blog that was usually written. This is kind of what we're getting to. And it's another diversion because if you look at streaming, especially on Facebook, you'll see that it's a broadcast model to everyone who subscribes. Social video is actually tied into the actual friending system that's on Facebook. So for example, if I wanted to actually have a interactive video conversation with 50 of my friends, I would choose them from within my friending structure. I would actually use the event engine within Facebook and actually have a broadcast and interactive conversation with them. So it's a diversion not only in how you're using video, but in the way that video is being used to actually not broadcast, but actually speak to the people that are your friends as well. And how that breaks down and how this product, I think, really does a really incredible job is that it's authentic. And the reason why it's authentic is that you can see people. You know, Facebook is a huge step forward than something like Craigslist when you want to go sell your couch or buy a piece of furniture. You never really know who's on the other end. Facebook's better because we have a sense of identity and a sense of understanding who's there, and we see a picture. But when it's a video, it's kind of, this is who you are. It's a real conversation with people, and not only do you see me, but I can see you as well. It's real because it's live. I mean, if my code is wrong or something, it's just a real live conversation that's interactive as a conversational perspective. And because of these things, I think it's compelling and it's personal. And I think this will become important because when you're a brand, whether you be a rock star or a preacher or a teacher or anyone else that has a Facebook page, actually having that personal relationship, that intimate relationship with your fans is something that takes the Facebook experience, we believe, to another layer.